Just because you don't have all of the pieces to the puzzle right now, it doesn't mean that you can't get started with what you have. And so allow yourself to operate in this grace and become confident in who you are. Obviously, if you made it this far, clearly there's something amazing about you. And so please rest in the fact that you have accomplished so much. You rest in the fact that you are amazing, that you are outstanding, that you are brilliant, that you're beautiful, that you're handsome, whatever the case may be. So please, 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 let's change the narrative that's going on in your head. You are that person. You are that deal. Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Legacy Speaks. My name is Sierra Hillsman, licensed professional counselor and emotional wellness coach. Oftentimes when we are embarking on a new task, we may feel as though we are not good enough. We may start to second guess ourselves and we may feel like we can't rise to the task. But today we're going to talk about how to overcome imposter syndrome when we are embarking on a new task. But before we dive right in, I need you to hit that subscription button below. That way you can stay up to date on newly released content on a regular basis. So let's dive right in. Hey, lovely, shout out to you because I know mental and emotional wellness is important to you. If it wasn't, you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. But lean in really quickly because I know sometimes it's really hard to create a plan and actually sticking to it. So let's take your mental health to another level. Ever wonder what keeps you from fully executing? Ever wonder how you can build the confidence for decision making? Well, guess what? You're not alone and I'm here to help. So head over to mentalhealthgoals.com for your free mental health plan. It'll give you practical strategies for addressing your current mental health needs. But first, you got to tap in. So head over to mentalhealthgoals.com to receive your free mental health action plan today. Do it right now. mentalhealthgoals.com. See you soon. All right, before we dive right in, let's talk about what imposter syndrome is. Now, it looks differently for everybody, but at the core of it, it's when individuals feel as though when they are starting a new task, or maybe even when they enter into a new space or in a new room, people are going to find out that they truly aren't that girl, or they truly aren't the person who they claim to be. It's like you have this entire resume of all of your gifts, talents, and capabilities and your experiences, and then you're walking in this anxiety, you're walking in this fear that you're going to be found out not to be true. And unfortunately, that impacts the way that we view ourselves. It impacts the ability to be able to show up confidently in new spaces, and it also impacts our ability to be able to effectively communicate who we are and to connect with other people in a genuine place. And so we have to take the time to be able to build our confidence and combat imposter syndrome by doing a couple of things. First off, especially when we're starting a new task, begin to think about all the things that you already know. Think about all that relevant information and maybe even relevant experience that you have. Start with what you already know. It's okay. Sometimes what I also encourage clients to do is literally to take a moment and to reflect on the history that they have with a particular company, or maybe even with a task that is similar to what it is that they're about to embark on. Start with what you know. And that's so important because oftentimes during moments of distress, we tend to forget about what we know. So think about all of your skills, all of your previous experience. Think about all the things that are relative to that particular task. What knowledge have you acquired throughout the years? What knowledge have you acquired just by studying up within these last couple of months? And trust yourself. Next, I definitely encourage individuals to break the task down. There's this African proverb that I often live by, which is, how do you eat an elephant? And straight up, will you eat it one bite at a time? Now, start to break down that task into manageable parts. That way you can be able to figure out, okay, how can I prioritize these particular tasks? How can I get from point A to B, C, and D rather than A to Z? Breaking things down into more manageable tasks helps to reduce feeling overwhelmed. And it also helps you to be able to look at things from a different perspective. It's kind of like breaking down a prism. You have the back side, the front side, you have the top and the bottom, and you also have the sides. Instead of looking at it as this big old block that has to be conquered or chiseled away, take a moment to be able to break it down into something that you can be able to work through over time. And speaking of prioritization, that's another way that we can help to navigate new tasks. taking the moment to figure out some level of order based upon importance and urgency. I often remind clients about the Eisenhower matrix, where you are trying to figure out what to do, what to delegate, what to delete, and maybe even what to delay. This will help you to be able to focus on what needs to be done rather than getting sidetracked. And even when we're talking about how do I figure out the order of importance, or maybe even how do I figure out the sense of urgency, well, think about some things like your deadlines. Maybe even think about what's important for that particular team. Let's think about what are some additional information that may be utilized when we're talking about conceptualizing a particular task. So just start to think about how can we begin to prioritize the bits and pieces so that we can reach our common goal for that particular task. This year has been a whirlwind, hasn't it? And I'm pretty sure that you and your business have had to make a number of changes as a result of the pandemic. But I need you to get really present right now. Let's tap into the here and now in this very moment. When was the last time you truly checked in on your team? As a matter of fact, when was the last time that you truly thought about how you and your team are mentally and emotionally navigating through all of the adjustments that are taking place? But guess what? I'm here to help with that. Hi, my name is Sierra Hillsman, and I'm a licensed professional counselor and certified clinical trauma professional. I work with small businesses and corporations by helping their teams explore their presenting concerns. That way we can increase employee engagement and improve productivity overall. This can be done through in-person or online lunch and learn events, corporate workshops, and organizational seminars. Click the link below. That way you can start to learn how to truly invest in the overall mental and emotional wellness of your team. Speaking of teams, let's take a moment to identify what are your available resources. I think with the imposter syndrome, we feel as though we have to go at task alone, or we have to find ourselves secluded and isolated because we don't want to be found out. We don't want people to realize that we really aren't as good as like our resume says that we are, but that's not the case. Like, collaboration is key. So figure out who can you pull in to work with in order to tackle this particular task, or to tackle this particular exercise, or to tackle this particular challenge at hand. We are not meant to do life alone, and that also includes our projects. So allow yourself to be able to welcome in people. That way you can build your confidence in, one, effectively communicating what it is that you're trying to get accomplished, but two, it helps you to build rapport with other members of your team. Collaboration is so key. And even then, right, when we're thinking about your resources, it's not just people. Let's look at some of the knowledge, the information, maybe some online resources, some courses, some documentation, maybe even referring back to previous projects that have already been completed. So let's look at the practical and tangible resources that are available that we can begin to incorporate. It is okay to ask for help. It is okay to seek help. Remind yourself that just because you're asking for help, it doesn't make you less than. It doesn't encroach on your ability to be able to effectively execute. Actually, it helps champion you and build more momentum. And lastly, when it comes to challenging imposter syndrome, when it comes to embarking on a new task, remember to embrace your mistakes, okay? Like, mistakes are the ability to be able to fail forward. It gives us an opportunity to learn more about ourselves, what we can do next time, how can we take a different approach moving forward, what do we learn about ourselves even in that particular moment. There's no such thing as a loss. There's always a lesson in place. And so remember, especially when we're getting started, not everything has to be perfect from the beginning, okay? Give yourself the grace to be able to evolve over time. Getting started is the hardest part. Trust me, I get it, but it's better to start imperfectly than to not start at all. Just because you don't have all of the pieces to the puzzle right now, it doesn't mean that you can't get started with what you have. So allow yourself to operate in this grace and become confident in who you are. Obviously, if you made it this far, clearly there's something amazing about you. And so please rest in the fact that you have accomplished so much. You rest in the fact that you are amazing, that you are outstanding, that you are brilliant, that you're beautiful, that you're handsome, whatever the case may be. So please, 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 let's change the narrative that's going on in your head. You are that person. You are that deal. So yes, get started on that particular task. You got this. And even if you don't have everything right now, understand that life has an interesting way of giving us what we need along the journey. Alright y'all, I hope this helped in some way, shape, form, or fashion. If anything resonated with you, please make sure that you are dropping something in the comment section. And don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and share. And definitely stay connected via Legacy SPKS on everything. Once again, my name is Sierra Hillsman, licensed professional counselor and emotional wellness coach. If you are interested in learning more about yourself, or you're wanting to gain a better understanding of your personal professional identity, head over to legacyspks.com to learn more about our coaching programs. Okay, all right, stay tuned until next time.